Begin. This is the most important first step that is needed to begin to break the cycle of violence in Iraq. And then a diplomatic course of action must be pursued, which brings together all the conflicted parties in the region to negotiate a peace process. We pray for an end to all violence in Iraq and for the protection of all people there, including those Iraqi Christians who are living in fear of persecution. And so we stand here today in front of the White House to say as clearly as we can, no to all violence and yes to life and justice. Abolish the crime of war. No to U.S. military intervention in Iraq. Close Guantanamo now. During this month of June, which marks Torture Awareness Month, let us also redouble our efforts to end the crime of torture and indefinite detention. Regarding the present situation in Guantanamo, lawyers for some of the Guantanamo hunger strikers believe that of the 149 men being held there, about 34 are still on a hunger strike and about 18 meet the guidelines to forced feedings. Regarding the recent prisoner swap, the Pentagon's chief war crimes prosecutor, Army Brigadier General Mark Martins, said this past Sunday that in 2011 he studied the files of the 5 Taliban prisoners recently traded for Army Sergeant Bull Bergdahl and concluded that they could not be prosecuted. A reporter asked the general whether it was true that 2 of the long-held Afghan prisoners released by the Obama administration in May 31st, Bergdahl Exchange, were identified by the United Nations as war criminals. Martins replied that in 2009, a task force of federal and military prosecutors concluded, quote, there was not a successful prosecution to be had of any of the 5 men who were held. And as we know, these men were held for many years in Guantanamo without ever having been charged with a crime. The general added that when he took the job as chief prosecutor in 2011, he reviewed all the detainee files, including the 5 Taliban who were traded, and concluded the same thing. Based on careful researching and looking at everything that was available, there was no prosecution to be had.